I'm sure when many of y'all saw this photo right here of the spaghetti, it made some of your mouth water. Your mouth watered, and some of you are thinking that this is making you hungry and makes you desire to want spaghetti. But this image represents the period blood that certain females put in the food of men to control that man, to make that man fall in love with her to the point where he find it almost impossible to let her go. Now, I shared a story in the past about this young man I know that was with this female that put period blood in his food. She even went as far as smearing period blood on his door. Regardless of what that female did to him, he always found himself uncontrollably going back to her. She'd run him over with the car. She'd beat him up. She'd call the police on him and have him arrested. And when his family tried to warn him, he admitted himself that he could not stop himself from going there, and he could not explain why he keep going back to her in spite of what she does to harm him. My mother has always said, since I was a child, never forget, she used to always say that a person cannot harm you, mainly a woman cannot harm you, unless they get it in you. And she was making reference towards voodoo, because there are people in my family, I have family members that practice voodoo. Some refer to it as witchcraft, some divination, some black magic, but whatever you call it, it's still evil. It's practicing the dark arts. And you have so many black females that practice the dark arts to control and manipulate men, and in many cases, women as well. You always be careful. Don't be too quick to eat everyone's cooking. I'm very picky on the foods that I eat. I don't eat at everyone's table. I don't eat everything that's set before me. It's just not wise. Because I'm fully aware that there are people that use body fluids, be it blood, semen, or urine. They will use those body fluids to control you, to manipulate you, to get you in a space where you have no control over yourself. I've seen cases where someone had become sick at the point of death. And when they went to the doctors and the doctor examined them, they couldn't find anything wrong with them, gave them a clean bill of health. But yet, they were sick. So, were they hallucinating? Was it in their minds? Because your mind is very powerful. And what's crazy is when I hear black people say, it's not real. It don't work. Well, maybe it don't work because you've never seen it work, or because of the fact that someone has not done it to you or a member of your family. And in many cases, people that have been cursed or hexed are not even aware that they are cursed or hexed, even if someone tells them. Now, there's a meme that I posted on Facebook, and that was the type of reaction that I received from a few black folks that's quick to say it don't work. I had a very good friend of mine, young lady, that said it don't work. And there was a dude that said it don't work. But I've seen it work in the past. And see, what you must realize is that evil is evil regardless of what face it presents itself with. I said to the young man that said it's not real, I said, great. I said, so let's play with an Ouija board, which I wouldn't do. But I said, let's play with a Ouija board since it's not real. And he responded and said, you said voodoo. I don't mess with those things because in this day and time, you can draw demons or negative spirits, but yet he just told me that the spells that these females use with body fluids don't work. There are too many black people that underestimate the power of evil. Just because you've never seen it work does not mean that it doesn't work. There's power in evil. Even if you've never dealt with evil firsthand, sometimes in your life you felt the presence of evil. The presence of evil cannot be mistaken for anything else other than evil. And if you notice, there's an extremely heavy dark cloud over the so-called black Americans. It's thicker than I've ever seen in my life. Just look at the effects that's happening among the so-called black Americans. From division between the sexes, where you have black men against black women, and then because of the divide between the man and woman, both has gone their own way. You have some that claims to be gay, some claims to be bisexual, and even they are confused within themselves because they find themselves going back to the opposite sex and then referring to themselves as bisexual. But then when they come together, when you have this person that refers to himself as a transgender female, and then you have the female that referred to herself as a transgender male, and then they find each other attractive and come back together, and then they produce offspring to androgynous demons. These same demons that terrorize the neighborhood and the world. It's interesting that I listened to a police scanner, and all night on that police scanner you hear of break-ins, you hear of fights, you hear of people hanging out in front of people's homes, and they're all black males. You hear the black female screaming, the black male breaking in the house, the black male is doing this, the group of black males, and they all dress alike. They dress like they're doing some type of satanic ceremony, wearing dark hoods, sagging their pants, and they do extreme evils to the people they claim to love. I didn't mean to go this far, but it ties in because it's all on the devil's playground. And I always say that when you play on the devil's playground, expect the devil to one day show up. So yes, there is a dark cloud over so-called black Americans. But no one is cursing themselves but themselves. And I've mentioned in past videos about the increase of black males and females on YouTube alone that's practicing witchcraft, that's playing with tarot cards, that's calling themselves warlocks and witches, delving into extreme evils and not realizing that you're not just harming yourself, but you're harming your communities. There are not too many black people that I see the spark of Yah within them. Just look at the so-called preachers that's bold enough to get on social media and present himself as a cussing pastor. This is a man that calls himself a pastor, one that is shepherding over a flock. And he refers to himself as a cussing pastor that loves a woman's private part. Now, there's nothing wrong with a man loving a woman. But the evil, the level of evil that people have sunk into, and a lot of it is a result of the black magic spells, voodoo, love spells, period spells, semen spells, urine spells, blood spells, divination, and of course there's people that's going to refer to it as superstition. That's okay. Just like the comments I received on Facebook when they say it's not real, but yet we constantly post articles and videos of the results of this evil. Because when you start delving into the unseen, guess what? You attract those spirits into this realm. You bring or invite spirits into this realm. When you do mirror magic, especially when you start scouring and using black mirrors, and you start doing this witchcraft, man, and you're inviting energy in, and what you invite in is not what you think you're inviting in. They may give you the illusion that what you're doing is working, but yet there's something that's much higher than yourself, or that which you're calling forward is now in motion. So there is a dark cloud over the so-called black people. And this is way off of my topic. I just wanted to talk about this meme and black females using body fluids, period blood, to control their men. Why would anyone want to control someone against their will? Why would you want someone to fall head over heels in love with you when it's not true love? They're being forced to do it against their will, and it's usually people that have rejected the Most High. People that don't have God in their life. People that choose to live in opposition against God and the Bible. Those that find themselves cursing God and cursing the Bible, or cursing the church, or cursing the pastors. These are the ones that's open prey to demonic activity, and they become ministering demons, recruiting others like themselves. So again, we have families that's not together. We're now living in a parallel universe where everything has flipped on its side. Where now good has become evil and evil is now good. So when you have demons like that cursing pastor that talks foul mouth, just look at the comments that he's receiving, the laughing faces, the people that's saying that he's telling the truth, and they're in agreement with him, and they're sending him donations for being real about being a demon. But this is the spirit that's in the black community. This is the spirit that we see the results of when I turn on that police scanner and I hear of the mischief that your children are causing in the streets. Acting like animals, acting like the demons that they are. So when I hear black people tell me that it's not real, and you see the caption, ladies, do this to his T, he will never leave you, and then it says, trust me and thank me later. And trust me, there are some females that will try this and that have tried this. And sometimes when you do things like that, you may not like the results of it. Because when you start putting love spells on people, when you start trying to hack into someone else's mind or their emotions, or control them with supernatural strength and power, it may not be what you want. Because then that individual becomes so possessive and violent, because now like begets like. And regardless of how much a person may put on their best behavior, there is a dark side to that person. So you may cast a spell on someone and get them to love you uncontrollably and refuse to leave you. And trust me, it works, whether you do it right or not. If you don't do it right, of course it's not going to work. But you may call something forward that you really don't want. So then when you get tired of this man that you never want to leave you, and he becomes possessive and then violent, and then he end up harming you or your children in that house, you bring a curse on your own household, on your own head. So much of what we see now, these curses that's taking place in the average black family, are curses that were invited into that home. In one way or another, a curse was invited into that home. And once that parent invite that curse in, then you give that spirit or those spirits permission over your offspring. Some may call it a generational curse. A curse that you created, a curse that you called upon yourself. So when you call yourself harming someone, guess what? The law of reciprocal action kicks in. Whatever you put out comes back to you. So it's interesting when I hear people say it's not real and that it don't work. But be careful what you eat. Because while you're sitting there in unbelief, and yes, you may have an unbelief when it comes to God. You may be an unbeliever when it comes to the Bible, or the church, or preachers, or Christians, or even if you refer to yourself as a Muslim, any type of spirituality, when you start calling yourself an atheist, or an agnostic, or you take the position of a cursing pastor. See, the Most High says, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. He gives us the option to choose. But when you call yourself a cussing, aka cursing pastor, then you become the agent of the devil. So feedback, tell me what you think, subscribe, share this video, click on the Cash App button and donate to this channel. Be careful what you eat. Don't eat everything somebody set before you. Be careful what you drink, because you just might be drinking some urine tea. And you may drink that tea and be thinking, man, this is good. What did you put in this? And then she'll tell you, ancient black woman's secret. And before you realize, you barking at the moon. So feedback, tell me what you think. Till next time. I'm fearless.